Hey, what is going on guys? RvzStealth here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best champions for every role for patch 7.3. So I already made a video or a tier list video for mid lane and for top lane, but in this video, we're only going to be going over like the top 3, top 4 picks for every single role in this patch. So with that being said, let's get started. So we're going to start off with jungle, then AD carry, then support, and then finish off with mid and top since I already did make a tier list for mid and top. So for the jungle here, the number 1 jungler in this patch that I would look to pick would be Graves. So Graves right now with lethality and also with Kha'Zix and Rengar both getting nerfed in patch 7.3, it does make Graves a lot stronger right now. I think he's actually the most picked jungler right now in this patch. So if you can play good Graves and you know how to just take advantage of his strong early game and you know how to be aggressive on him, he's definitely a very good carry jungler pick. And then with those nerfs to Kha'Zix and Rengar, I still think they are very good right now, so they're still probably A tier, maybe even still S tier in this patch, but I would say that Evelynn right now is probably maybe a little bit stronger than those two champions. If you can play a good Kha'Zix or Rengar, then I would still pick them in this patch, but if you can play a good Evelynn and you can just snowball the early game with Evelynn really well and just be very aggressive on her, then I also think she is a great jungler for this patch. Moving over to the AD carry role now, the number 1 AD carry in this patch is Miss Fortune. So Miss Fortune with the lethality build right now is just super strong in my opinion. Once you do get your Youmu's, your Edge of Night, and your Black Cleaver, you do so much damage in team fights just with your ultimate. And when you're playing Miss Fortune, you don't even need to be that great of an AD carry player to be successful on her. All you really need to do with MF is to be able to position decently in team fights and be able to get a good multi-man ultimate off. If you can do that, then your ultimates can pretty much just single-handedly win you games. I found that when playing Miss Fortune that you don't even need to do too well in the laning phase as her. Even if you do end up falling behind a little bit, you can still be successful on her because your ultimate, it doesn't even matter how far you fall behind, your ultimate is still gonna do a load of damage in team fights. And the second and third best AD carries for this patch are Jhin and Varus. So Jhin and Varus are a lot stronger than most of the other AD carries just because with the lethality build, they do spike a lot sooner into the game. They both have really good mid games once they do get Youmu's and Edge of Night. And they're also just pretty good in this meta as well because a lot of the other AD carries, they don't do too well right now because they are shorter ranged and they don't have the ability to like poke from a long range like Varus can with his Q and like Jhin can with his ultimate. So overall right now they are great AD carry picks. And then for support in this patch, I don't think there's one support pick that really stands out from all the others as being super OP right now. So the top 3 or top 4 supports right now are Janna, Blitzcrank, Soraka, and Malzahar. So Malz, I would play him if you want to go aggressive in the laning phase and you're an aggressive player. I would look to pick him against any melee matchup, but I would try to avoid ranged matchups like Soraka or like Janna because they can do really good at just breaking your shield, or at least Soraka can in the laning phase, and then Soraka can also just silence you in team fights to negate your ultimate. So melee matchups, Malz is great, but try to avoid the ranged matchups if you can. And then as for Janna right now, it's pretty self-explanatory as to why she's pretty strong in this patch. We're seeing so many dive champions being played right now, and Janna is one of the best peel supports that you can play. And then for Blitzcrank, he is seeing actually quite a bit of success in this patch because we are seeing a lot less tankier supports being played and melee supports, and we are seeing more range supports in this patch. So he is a great pick against any squishy range support like a Nami, like a Soraka, like a Zyra. So if any of those supports are picked and you're a good Blitzcrank player, then I would definitely look to pick him in this patch. And then for Soraka, the reason why she is pretty good in 7.3 is because we're seeing a lot of poke comps that are being played right now. Corki in the mid lane is the most picked mid laner in this patch, and he is a very strong poke champion, and Varus is the second most picked AD carry right now. So if any of those two picks are being played, or if the enemy team just does have a poke comp, like a Jace as well, for example, then Soraka is great in those situations because she does offer that great sustain with her heals. And then for the top lane here, I'm going to link my top lane tier list if you guys do want to check that out. So I'm not going to go too much into detail about these picks, but the top 3 for top lane right now are Jace, Pantheon, and Talon. So all 3 of these picks are great with lethality, and they're also super lane dominant right now. Pretty much none of these champions here lose lane to any champions in this patch other than to each other. So for example, Jace, he doesn't really have a counter in the laning phase besides maybe Pantheon. Pantheon can do a pretty good job against him because of his passive. And then for Talon, he's beating on a lot of top laners in this patch, and the only one that's really doing okay against him is Pantheon. So if you are good at any of these 3 top laners, then I would look to pick them up in 7.3. And then to round out the video here, the top 3 picks for mid lane are Talon, Corki, and Zed. So Talon and Zed are great assassins in this patch because of lethality, and also because the most picked AD carries right now are Jhin and Varus. These picks, or Jhin and Varus, are picked like 80% of the time in this patch. They're pretty much in every single game right now, and Talon or Zed, just pick them against those immobile AD carries, and they're not going to be able to do too much in team fights. And then for Corki, he's a very safe and just a very reliant mid lane pick in 7.3. He's got a pretty good laning phase because he does take that exhaust, so it kind of negates any aggression that the enemy laner can have in the laning phase. If they do try to all in Corki, then he just throws the exhaust on them, and a lot of the time you will end up winning the trade, and you'll end up getting solo kills because of the enemy's over aggression. And then with your package, you do have one of the best roaming kits for any mid lane champion. Your mid game spike is also insanely strong, and you do have super good poke with your rockets. So that is going to be all for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, then please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you have yet to already. So thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.